movies. I had to figure out how to afford to take a girl out. I couldn't Netflix and chill, save money. And guess what? It was $8 each, $16 for the movie. How many movies do you get now for $12 a month?
Unlimited.
80,000. And when are they available? Anywhere. What do you got to do to get it? No wonder you have a weakness in your arms. That's all you got to do, right? Think about it. When I was a kid, if you wanted porn, you had to find an old man at the liquor store to get that shit for you. It wasn't free on your phone. See, and my generation was weak compared to the generation before it that went through a depression when they turned 20 years old. They grew up, people born in 1910, guess what? They grew up as young people, World War was going on, World War I, and they were protected. And they appreciated that. And then after the war, there was an explosion called the Roaring 20s. Technology exploded, kind of like it is now. In a short period of time, we had automobiles, we had airplanes, we had radio, we had television, and the stock market went crazy and people were partying. Now, not everybody was partying, but the society was partying as a whole. And by the way, people thought it'd go on forever, as they always do, because when things are going well, they think it'll be great forever. When things are going terrible, they think it's going to go terrible forever. It's never. It's a season. And the seasons always change, and they always come back. Right? And guess what? Those kids growing up saying, man, when I turn 19, 20, 21, I'm getting a car, I'm going to party. And by the way, those kids were looked down by an older generation. It's called flappers. Kind of like if you're a millennial or a Z, the older generation look like you, X looks at you like, oh, you're a weak bitch. That's what they said. Come on. What do they call you? 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 Birds, butterflies, or the other one of those. Bottom line is, they look down on it. But guess what? That generation, when they turned 1929, they turned 19, no car. All the 1920s imagery they thought was coming was over like that. People jumping out of buildings, people standing in red lines. If you lived in the Midwest, so much sand and soot you couldn't breathe. What the hell? And they went through 10 years of depression. By the way, when they say 10 years of depression, it's like it's winter. Winter's overall a tough time. Are there sunny days in winter? Yes or no? Sure, absolutely. And so you had 3 years really tough, they cleared up, then they got bad again. 10 years of tough times. And guess what it did? It made them stronger. And then their reward for 10 years of depression, as they're now turning 29, 30, anybody know what the reward was? World War II. It looked like Hitler's gonna win, and they all went to war and fought, and they won the war, and they came back in their late 30s or 40s, having had a life that was so incredibly tough, but they were incredibly strong, and they started a whole new world, another springtime. After winter always comes spring. If you were God, would you do it that way? After the dark night of the soul, you have that daybreak where you wake up and understand who you really are, what you're capable of. It always happens that way. Most people think the night's forever. It's not. So guess what? Then we had this springtime, the late 50s, 60s, and then we went through a hot summer, the 70s and 80s, people fighting with each other, different generations. And then you got all of a sudden fall again, early 2000s, 2010, stock markets go crazy. This happens every 100 years like clockwork. 1,000 years of Roman history, I can show you this, 500 years of Anglo-American history. There's seasons. Right? And we get exhausted with the feeling, even the good feeling. Do you ever smile so much your face hurt? Your body wants a balance of some sort. And so does life. So why am I telling you this? Because that generation became known as the Great Generation. I gotta tell you, if you're a millennial or a Z, you're the next great generation. There's zero question. I know you don't look like it to some people. But you will be, and I tell you why, because we're in winter right now, and it's not done. And by the way, winter is like the best time to start a business. If you want to say, when did I succeed in business? I can show you. If I look at the 1,000 biggest companies in the world, the Fortune 1000, and say, when were they born? Because they can be born in an easy time, the springtime. You start a business in springtime, you think you're a genius. Everything goes. The economy's going like crazy. Interest rates are low. Everything flows. If you were in real estate, not until like 5 years ago, people lining up to buy 10 people trying to make an offer on the same house. You thought you were a genius. No, you're in springtime. Then there's the hot summer that follows, where you're working your ass off and nothing works. And test you, will you keep pushing through or will you give up? That's when most people leave this organization. They hit their summertime. If you push through, you get to the fall, where you get rewarded massively. And then once you get rewarded massively, you're still very smart, because winter will come again. But this thing, in winter, you want to be save some of what you've done, you're in great shape, and you can spend time with your family, and you can go, some people freeze to death in winter, other people snowboard and ski. You're prepared for it. So you're that generation, and if you want to start a business, if I said, what season, I can tell you, in a recession or depression would be a winter, right? Throw it up on the board, you'll get to see all these companies were started in a recession or depression. Of the Fortune 1000, 65% were started in a horrible time. Whether it's CNN or Chevron was a depression, Apple was a recession, Uber was a recession, Kraft was a depression, Disney was a depression, Microsoft a recession, IBM a depression, Exxon a depression, Airbnb during a recession, Trader Joe's a recession. I go on and on for all of them. You know why? If you do well in winter, you do well for the rest of your life. Because you build muscle, right? So if it's hard, do it hard. If it's easy, do it easy, but do it. And if you do this, you have no problem whatsoever having an extraordinary quality of life. But it requires you having a different vision that it can't be done. What are the 3 things that are more expensive? Housing is more expensive, but it's twice as much house as last generation square footage. No one talks about that. The other day I saw all these CNN, all these guys, they were saying, the average price house now costs $1 million. No one, young people can buy them. This is how you lie with statistics. Because that $1 million house includes $10 million homes, $100 million homes. That's how you got that average. The median price, the real price, is $370,000. And there are 22 states where you can buy a home of $250,000 or less as a starter home. But when you tell kids this, they go, I have no future. That's the challenge. And now they think they want to get stuff for free, and there is no free. We'll find that out long or too late. So if you and I are going to make a difference, we got to make sure we pierce the limiting beliefs of our own lives, and then we can do it for other people. We got to show them what's possible. And that doesn't mean that you're instantly rewarded whatever you want. It means I'm building the skills to get there, and I will not stop until I do. So now, patterns. So, do you tend to focus on what you have and what's missing? If you focus on what's missing, we now discover the #1 problem for your future that needs to change. And by the way, that's also a pattern of overachievers. They often look at what's missing. That's why they're never happy no matter what they achieve. That's when they call me. They're the best in the world, they won 12 Academy Awards, they made all this money, they're a billionaire, and they're depressed. Because they don't understand. It's not what you get, it's what you become, and they don't understand. As long as your mind keeps focusing. If you got $1 billion, but every day you're focused on what pisses you off and frustrates you, what's going to be the quality of your life? Your life is pissed off and frustrated. If you have 3 beautiful children, a husband or wife that adores you, tons of love in your life, and you spend all your time worrying, that's your habit. What's the quality of your life? You don't experience the love, you experience the worry. Even though love's all there. Remember I said you only experience what you focus on? And it's a habit of focus. So that has to change. You change your life by focusing on what you're grateful for, what you have. The more you focus on that, the more abundant you will be. Plus, when you're going to recruit people, they won't feel like, ha, please join me. People feel that shit, they smell it. I had no money, sorry, absolutely no money, but I was so on fire to help people, it didn't matter. They felt that energy. And it's like, I didn't give a damn whether I made any money or not. I should have probably at some level, but I didn't. And still that's not what drives me. And I've certainly done more than well in that area. But it's not my driving force. It's a reward for its incredible levels of service over decades. and constantly getting better at what you do. But your state, when you're what's missing, people feel it, and it attracts more scarcity. And so even the people you do bring to your team are going to be in scarcity mode. That means it's tough. How many buy this? Say I. Right? So that's got to shift. And it's just a habit. Start saying what's missing. My habit is I get up every day, I do my first 10 minutes of what I'm grateful for. I do a little process. I do it every single day. And it wires my brain to load my feed with all the good things that are there. And then it starts happening automatically. You've rewired yourself. Doesn't take much. But you got to do it initially on your own. You got to push through. Right? Second pattern. Do you tend to focus on, well, think about this. If you focus on what you have missing, do you focus on what you can control or what you can't control? More often. Honestly. Shout it out. Which one? Can control or can?
Can.
Which one?
Can.
How many tend to focus more on what you can control? Please get your hands. Okay? How many focus on what you can't control? Please get your hands. So we split the room on that one. Now, if you're focusing on what you can't control, let me be clear. There's tons we can't control, right? And we can always find reasons why we can't control it. It's because I'm too young, I'm too old, it's because I'm black, I'm white, I'm brown. It's because I have this religious belief and they don't agree with it. It's because I grew up in this environment. There's always reasons. But there's always the people that, in spite of those reasons, did well. But we don't want to see that because we're afraid that we're not enough. That's the fear. So we try to find something to blame, but blame will never elevate our spirit. Right? The only way we elevate our spirit is to start to focus on what we can control. Because the truth is, there's very little you can control. I recently went to Mexico and I discovered something. I couldn't control my bowels for a period of time. It was not a pleasant experience. It was really rough. I had to get on stage. Jumping, oh, hang on there, my hand. I was puckered up, man, I can't even tell you. Hanging on for dear life. So I have all this willpower, right? Hey, this willpower didn't do shit, no pun intended. So it's like there's a lot of things you can't control, but what you can control is what you focus on and what it means, and therefore what you feel, and that'll affect what you do. Right? Third one, you tend to focus more on the past, the present, or the future. We all do all three. Where do you spend more of your time? The past, the present, or the future? Where would you say?
Futuro.
Raise your hand if you focus more on the past, the present, the future. Okay? Most future, second here is present, last past. Focusing on the past will think about this. You're going to drive in the future using a rear view mirror. How's it going to go? If you spend too much time in the past, you basically, it becomes itself. You have to let it go. You got to trust that there's a higher purpose in it, even though you don't know what it is yet. Right? But present and future is where it comes from. If you focus on the future, you're anticipating. That's great. That'll help you anticipate, do well. But if you only focus on the future, you don't feel the joy of this moment. If you only focus on the moment, you don't plan for the future. So it's a balance between those two that will change your life for the better. So watch this. You tell me, now watch this. Somebody's depressed. How many know somebody's depressed? How many know somebody who uses antidepressants and they're still depressed? Raise your hand. Put your hands up nice now. Let me see this. Put your hands nice now. Look around this room. 85% of you, 80% of you know somebody who's depressed, taking antidepressants, they're still depressed. How come they're still depressed? Because you can give them drugs that numb them, which by the way, the science says can make suicidal thoughts. Just in case being depressed is not enough to make you suicidal. But here's the crazy thing. It doesn't change the source of the problem. I know the source. The source is they're constantly focusing what's missing. That's always it. What I missed out on, I didn't get to have my child, I didn't get to have now, I can't have now, can't this, can't that, what's missing. They're also focused on what they can't control. And when you focus on what you can't control and what you can't missing, and if you add focusing on the past, it's over, you're gonna be depressed. It doesn't matter who you are, it doesn't matter how many drugs you take, you're still gonna be depressed. I'm giving you 3 keys right now that if you take control, it will change everything in your life. Habit 1, focusing on what I have. Focusing on what I'm grateful for and making it a practice daily. Focusing on that after a problem, I figure out the good of the problem. But if you ask, hey, what's great about this? How can I use this? That habit will change your life. Focusing on what I can control. I can't control it. This is what I can control. That focus will put you back in your power like that. And focusing on not only the present moment, but hey, this is setting up a greater future. And then when you look at the future, saying, I don't want to forget, but I'm going to enjoy this. You know, all my friends that have become billionaires or the best at what they do in whatever category, when we get together, you know, I got a group of friends that are all considered goats. They race them all the time in their category. We had a dinner the other day with about 6 of us, and it was pretty cool. And we've all done it for decades, what we do, different things. Some are sports, some are business, some are finance. And we're talking together. What's really interesting is all of our joy is talking about the difficult times that we started. Like we all gravitated to talk about those times because you can't have a foreground without a background. The only way you get to appreciate it is by the contrast. Like my daughter, you know, I have 5 kids and 5 grandkids, and I have a 51-year-old daughter and I have a 5-year-old daughter. COVID was good to me. So it's pretty wild. And I gotta tell you, my 5-year-old daughter is growing up a little different than I did. Like, you know, like when she said to me the other day, are we going on daddy's plane or one of those small planes? I'm like, oh shit. So it's like, sure enough, it's like, so I have to orient her in a different way to get her, keep her grounded. She's a great kid, great, but I'm making her work her tail off. I'm making her, at 5 years old, she's got responsibilities. I'm gonna put her out on a farm for a month with me in the summer, taking horse shit, and getting to go out and save with people, right? So she's getting to get those lessons, but without it, how would she ever appreciate all this? She wouldn't appreciate it. There's no, I'm gonna walk out of here and fly out here and go, man, what a gift I got to be with these people today, because I get to be with all of you. To me, that's a gift. I don't forget that gift. It's awesome, right? For a second, and you've been sitting way longer than I normally have you sit. We're going to move in a moment, but just for a second, the most fun, one of the things I learned is there are patterns for everything. Patterns that make you angry, patterns that make you sad, patterns that make you succeed, patterns that make you fail, patterns that make you sabotage yourself. And it's not you, it's a pattern. But when you do a pattern over and over again, you think it's you, and then changing you is hard. Changing your pattern is easy. Now, I want to at least get this concept in you and maybe some experience, and then if you want to spend more time, I'm not holding back. I'd love to have it for 4 days. Come do that with me if you're willing to, but I'm not going to hold back. So here's what I want you to understand. The patterns that control everything in your life, what you focus on, what you eat, your body, the way you breathe, certain words you use, and we'll show you how these work, they control everything. Once I understood how those patterns work, I started getting, first of all, changed my whole life, physically, financially, emotionally, but then I was able to help other people. And then I started getting a call from the athlete running down on national television. I guess Serena Williams, and her sister just died, and she's freaked out, and she also lost the last match. She's the US Open. I got to get her on stage, and it looks impossible. The secret is there's no net. Listen, I have no net. Everyone knows I'm doing it, and if I fail, everybody knows. So when you have no net, it's amazing what you can pull off. And then as you do that over and over again, you develop confidence. I mean, I remember, you know, getting a phone call from the President of the United States. I'm 31 years old. He calls up and says, they're going to impeach me in the morning time. They're going to impeach me in the morning. What should I do? My first response, could you call me sooner? Morning, right? But then I got to figure it out, right? When you put yourself on the line, you're going to develop a different level of skill or ability. You're going to find out what you're truly capable of. But I want to give you the most basic pattern right now, since we've been sitting so long anyway. There's one pattern that you already know, but you can know something and not do it, right? Lots of people know what to do, they don't do what they know. The number one pattern that determines your success or failure in anything is your energy level. Now you guys have awesome energy. Really awesome. No bullshit. Awesome energy. I respect this so much. You've been so kind to me, but I know even when I'm not here, you guys do that with each other. It's part of what makes your culture so great. But this culture sometimes disappears when you're on the own talking to somebody who's a prospect. Am I right?
Yep.
And so what we got to do is train that into our nervous system. So think of it this way. If I said to you energy is the single most important key to success in anything, would you buy it or say, no, it's an exaggeration? What should you think? Yes or no? Let me give you some examples and you can decide for yourself. Let's do it this way. Let's imagine just for a moment, you have a couple. Let's take it completely out of what you do. And they both totally love each other. They're passionately in love with each other. And they're both in peak levels of energy. Like they really take care of themselves, they're in strong state, they adore each other, they love each other. What kind of relationship can you be pretty certain they're gonna have? Is it gonna be extraordinary, magnificent, good, okay, crappy? What do you think? Which one? Come on, shout it out. It's gonna be extraordinary, you know it. Now watch. Same couple. Same level of love and admiration for each other. But instead of in this peak state of energy, they've gotten worn down by life a bit. You know, paying certain bills, cash flow problems, one of the kids gets sick, and they're like in a state of like, you know, good. How you doing? Good. How you doing, Dad? Is it the same relationship? Is this relationship extraordinary, magnificent? Is it great? Is it good? Is it okay? It hurts. Very nice, sir. It hurts. It really does. How many get that? Make some noise. We get it.
Yeah.
Got the same couple totally love and adore each other, and they're dropped their energy down here. What if it gets down here where they're just burnt? And now they're in this place where it's like, what? Why is this happening? Why am I here? The hell? This is so stupid. Why am I with you? Is it that when people get in those states, do they say shit they don't really mean? And of course, your partner will never remember what you said ever again, will they? If they're female, they will tell you 20 years from now what you did on that day at 2 o'clock. Is it true, ladies? Is it true? You once said, I heard it!
Yes.
You're gonna have a memory for this shit. By the way, there's only 3 ways to handle a woman. And the only problem is no man's ever figured out even one. I talked myself out of that one quick, didn't I? She's punching it. So if the energy gets really low like that, it's going to be, they love each other just as much. Is it a great relationship, yes or no? Is it going to have lots of pain? Could the 2 people love each other actually divorce if they stay there too long? So I want you to understand what we're talking about today is the most important skill of life. And it starts with one pattern of energy. When you were pursuing someone, or you were attracted to someone, did you go, how's it going? Did you give it energy? Did you bring it energy? By the way, what are you doing with your prospects? Not the same energy, I know that shit. But does your energy affect them? The minute you walk up and meet somebody, in a few moments, they make a decision whether they trust you or not. And most people today are bound to not trust. Because there's so much bullshit in the world. Is it true? That's why being real and raw, not trying to be something more than you are. You don't need to project. Because authenticity is so rare. I mean, reality television is a lie. So it's like, when somebody's real, even if it's not elegant, people usually appreciate something real, because it's so rare, right? So I want you to just think about this for a second. Your energy level controls your relationship. It's not your spouse is a bastard or a bitch, or they're mean, or they're tough, or they don't care, or they're irresponsible. It's you develop a story about your partner now, bring that energy to it, and it influences it every day. Right? If you want to understand what will make your relationship work, 80% of having a great relationship is selection. Selection. Selecting the right person. Go, Tony, why didn't you tell me this 10 years ago before I married this guy? No, you don't understand. Selecting how you're going to be with your partner. Are you going to be bitchy? Are you going to be whiny? Are you going to be weak? Or are you going to step up and love? Are you going to do what's difficult, or are you going to do what's easy? The state you bring to it, the energy you bring to it determines your relationship. And that's all relationships. Your kids, if you're not getting through your kids, it's the state you bring to it. Right? And if you're in business, it's absolutely your business. There's zero question. People can feel it. How many buy that? If you buy it, say ah. So then the question is, if you agree that energy is the base, it's so simple, right? We know this. The question is, how many of you have days when you wake up in the morning and think, I don't want to talk to people today? How many have days like this when you're burned to make some noise and you have days like this? But if you're going to have a career or a life or an income, Instead of hiding behind those little texts, right? At some point, instead of letting your AI communicate to people, because people after a while, they can feel that innocent, authentic, right? Sounds like leverage, but it's not because it's not real. If you don't change your state and you will talk to people, how's it going? That's great. Read between the lines, right? That's what people think. Yeah? So think about this. We have to be able to change our energy. Right? Not fake it, actually change it. So here's the question. Where does energy come from? Where does it come from? Food? Food, sir? Food. We need to talk. Let's try this out for a second. How many of you in this room can remember having a big meal, let's say Thanksgiving or Christmas, like big meal? Who can remember when last Thanksgiving or Christmas? Make some noise, you can remember it. What do most people do at Thanksgiving? You go, okay, it's about Thanksgiving, I want to thank my body, I want some broccoli and some asparagus and shit. No, I'm gonna eat just the right amount. How much do we eat?
Too much.
So much we can barely do it. And when we're totally stuffed, what do we say? I'll never eat again. And then someone says pumpkin pie, you go, okay. At the end of that giant meal, with all that food that should be giving you energy, what do you feel like doing? Going on a run? Playing some football?
No.
What do you feel like doing?
Sleep.
Get put that boom tube, right? See, who here has ever fasted for 2 or 3 days or more? Who's ever done this? Wow, that's cool. You got a lot of you fasting. Question. After the first day, which is rough, or even the second, after 2, 3, 4 days, does your energy with no food increase massively or decrease? Which one? Which one?
Increase.
Then food is not the source of your energy. Don't get me wrong, food is a useful thing. But watch people after they go for lunch, they come back and get their coffee. Most people eat in a way, digestion takes more energy than most processes the way most people eat. If they don't know how to eat, I teach that. It's not time for another conversation. So it's not food. So it's not food, what's the source of energy? Sleep, okay? How many of you have ever slept 8 hours and you're still freaking tired? Make some noise. How many of you had a day when you were totally exhausted and then boom, something happened and you were awake all night? Who knows what I'm talking about here? You're about to have to understand that and stretch your body. Stand up and stretch. Do it. Take your body out. We've been sitting too long.